Yeah, pretty good, thank you. Been a really busy week. How about you? I know you've been a
Yeah,
little bit under the weather.
I have been. Haven't been feeling great, and now my back's at me. So it's just been a continued pain in the ass, for want of a better word. It's just been it's been a pretty horrific week. I'll be honest with you, and
Or a pain in the back, even.
pain, we have real pain in the back. So yeah, I think you're gonna have to take the lead on some of this. I've had a little look at the markets as well. I don't know what's going on. We'll have a little look, but I mean, gold seems to be playing around a bit. We've seen a big sell off today, bit of an
Well,
increase
this
in the dollar,
afternoon, I
maybe.
mean, it was up and up and up this
Yeah,
morning, and then it's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
turned around in the last sort of 2, 3 hours, along with equities and a lot of the other markets. I mean,
yeah,
even Bitcoin, everything seemed to sell off
yeah.
pretty much from around the US opening. It could have even been a little bit before.
Let me just move this out of the way. Yeah, so we'll have a quick look. Let's have a quick look at dollar first. I mean, we know dollar's been under pressure a small bit.
Yeah. It's
It
got
took
a
a bit
little
of a
bit of a
bounce today.
recovery today. So,
I mean, like it's always going to be the case. I'm surprised that like we know that it was priced into the markets for the cut. There's no surprises in the markets by any means. Um, but we
but
could
I
definitely
think the
see.
surprise was how many people were really against the cut. How many members wanted to vote against it, but obviously Powell convinced them
Yeah,
not to. And when you think of that, Powell's been one of the biggest hawks on there, and yet all of a sudden, he was trying to convince all of them that they needed to cut. So whether he's seen some data that we haven't yet around jobs, I'm not sure. But yeah, and of course, there was a few other things that came out from it. Was that the dot plot sort of showing perhaps less cuts next year. Next year is going to be a year of two halves: the first 6 months versus the second 6 months for sure, because
was
of the change of Powell going out and whoever comes in, whether it's Hassett or that. But and then I think also the fact that even though they stopped all the sort of selling out their assets on the 1st of December, they're now even looking to buy extra treasuries. So
yeah,
their portfolio, what
a
they've
massive
got
amount, right?
is, yeah, it's still over 6 trillion.
Mm.
And they've got over 4 trillion in treasuries, but they've got about 2 trillion left of MBS, mortgage-backed securities, as well.
And they're talking
But
about
what they're
adding
trying to do
40
is
billion.
roll out of the mortgage-backed securities and get more into the treasuries.
Am I
But what
right
they're
in
going to
saying
be
this?
doing is, as they're exiting some of the mortgage-backed securities, they're going to be buying extra treasuries as well, because they're
Right.
saying they haven't got enough on their balance sheet.
Mhm. It's interesting, right? I mean, there's a balance between inflation and kind of labor risks, if you like, right? And that's the key balance and act. Um, so I don't know. It's interesting. Again, I'm
Yeah.
kind of happy that dollars kind of fallen off. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was expected, really, because
yeah,
I mean, if they're going to drop rates next year, as I say, it's going to be a year or two halves. I think the first half is going to be sort of pretty standard, but if Hassett gets in and Trump gains that extra bit of influence, control over the Fed, then I mean, you could see a even further weakness of the dollar, because you could see sort of a lot of overseas investors exiting the US because of that.
yeah, yeah.
The Fed will effectively lose its independence.
True. But how much independence was really there in the first place is the key, right? And that's the fundamentals here is like really, are they really independent? Yes, they're set up as an independent, right? But how independent really are they? It's I don't know. That's a long story in itself.
Yeah, I think it's always been a case that they're more financially independent, because they hold on to the cash.
Hmm.
Any excess they pass back to the government anyway, which again
Yeah,
is another strange situation. But when you think of it, the chair and the vice chair are actually appointed by politicians.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, we can go into history with that, but we won't. Um,
It'll all
Again,
be
we've
run
seen.
out by AI soon, so then we won't have to worry.
Well, maybe you want to worry a bit more then. But yeah, look, we've seen a bit of a bounce in euro, and I think, look, we've finally seen that breakout. I mean,
Yeah,
it had to happen at some stage, and I was definitely on the buy side of when it did break, and we saw it. We saw a nice bounce, and I think we could see another kind of move up towards that kind of 118.20 level, somewhere around there. Certainly expect
yeah,
that.
I think you're right. Yeah, yeah. I remember you've been a bit bullish for that recently, so it's a good call.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it. It's unfortunately, like as we know as traders, and you've been doing it longer than I have. But I mean, a lot of your trading is about your bias and your, you build this kind of intuition of the markets, right? And that intuition gives you a bit more confidence in your trading. And recently, it's been all over the place, and it's very hard to judge. And we spoke about this before about going back to technicals and things like this, but I much prefer to rely on my bias and the technicals and have that confluence. And hopefully that's coming back again now into the markets. So again, same vein, pound. Pound is in trouble. We've seen a slight contraction. Was it 0.1 contraction? I'm not sure that's the main
Yeah,
reason.
I'm surprised it's still up there. Really, I mean, I've not seen anything good for the pound. I mean, it's been more dollar weakness at
Yeah,
times than it
yeah,
has
yeah,
anything
yeah,
positive for the UK.
yeah. There's no doubt about it. I'm definitely more bullish euro than sterling. That's
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. Dollar yen again. We saw that kind of big move. We saw the price go to that kind of one just below that 158 level. That key level. Price
yeah,
fade off, and again, it's kind of just it's in the zone there that you know. Once we're staying under that 158, we don't expect to see any kind of intervention. And again, but at the same time, it's hard to judge. There's lots going on, and again, politics side there as well. There's been some changes. I mean, what's your thoughts on yen at the moment?
well, there is a possibility that they're going to hike rates
That's right.
even at the end of next week. So,
Yeah.
yeah, when you're seeing countries hiking rates, other countries cutting rates, it just sort of rebalances it a little bit. But everything seems to be sort of getting a little bit more sort of converging rather than diverging, because obviously Japan had negative rates for decades and now they're moving up. Obviously, they've got a little bit of pressure, inflation pressures coming in as well. So,
Oh,
but that could go anywhere.
yeah, yeah. And just actually on that, do you think we'll see another rate cut as well in the UK? Is that possible? It looks possible. I mean, 3.75 potentially.
I mean, they should. It's just again that they're still still concerned about inflation because it's still running hot in comparison. But
Mhm.
the interest rates, do they really impact inflation that much at the moment? Even if the Fed cuts, I mean, is it going to really spike inflation in the US either? I don't think so. I think it. A lot of households are struggling, so they'd appreciate cheaper finance. They'd appreciate sort of what they would appreciate is cheaper food prices, which doesn't seem to be happening.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's just incredible where things are going at the moment. I mean, I'm not being funny, but I went into the shop to buy the wife some chocolates the other day, and I went in and there's these lint boxes. I think they're about £8 for a box, but the price hasn't gone up that much on it. But the box used to be this big. The box is
Yeah,
now this big. That kind of way.
yeah, it's
So it's
called
like
shrinkflation.
it's yeah, it's I don't know. I think there has to be at some point uh, an infraction point where we have to see a change. That
Yeah,
kind of
I think you saw that. That's what sort of stopped inflation going any higher. Is people just got to that pain threshold where they couldn't take anymore,
yeah.
and so they was either buying less or just not prepared to pay those prices. But if you look at the price of cocoa, though, I mean, it's practically halved from
But
last year.
this is the crazy part of it. I mean, like we always see prices go up. Very rarely do we ever see it go down. And I guess I saw that first happen when the euro come into Ireland, and everything just immediately, that spike in prices. And
Oh,
again,
yeah.
like I say, everything just continues to go up, and it's going up at a level where people's salaries are not going up to offset that, and that's the biggest issue, right?
It is, and all right, I'm going back to the US again, but I think that's why, it's one of the reasons you're seeing sort of, again, those permanent jobs just constantly in decline, and you've got those part timers coming in. And why the sort of jobless level, unemployment level looks so low is because you've got a lot of the lower income guys taking 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the bills.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's, I don't know. I guess that's why there's so much unrest, and these kind of political parties potentially getting. I don't know. I just think I think we're at a point now where people are at that real tipping point where it's very hard for this generation to understand, what is the next point, because at the end of the day, we're so, everything is so expensive. People can't afford houses. You know, it's the future is changing so dramatically. I had a conversation on a podcast recently with a VC from Silicon Valley, and we had this conversation, and it's like, the rate of technology, we are going to come to a change. We're going to get to a point where you can choose to work if you want to work, or just don't work. And, what does that look like for people, and how does, I don't know. I just think in the next 10 years, we're going to see a complete imbalance, and huge changes, because we can't keep going in the direction that we're going.
No, and because when you think of it as well, okay, so when tech come on, that created a lot of jobs. So you lost them in some areas and you gained them in others.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with AI, it's just replacing
Yeah.
people, but it's not actually generating any new jobs at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Especially with quant coming as well. I think that's going to be a huge turning point as well. But
Yeah.
like we had a quick chat about gold at the very start. We saw that, like, the price again, it just keeps testing around that kind of, 350 areas, just above, and again, it's failed again. Is that just
Yeah.
profit taking? Is that maybe a bit of a bounce in the dollar? Is it, what do you think?
The only reason I think it came off today was because the stocks came off and everything started to sell off this afternoon. It just dragged gold down at the same time.
Yeah.
But gold's just been by the dips. There's, as you can see from the chart, you get into that zone just below those blue lines that you've drawn, and it's just consolidates so strongly around there.
Yeah.
I don't mind selling it and going short, but you got to time those sales so accurately. But I've done all right on it, I must admit, in December. But but overall, I mean, you can't get bearish of gold at all.
Yeah, it's like I said. I think these are the buying opportunities, really. Is it a? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with gold and silver. Are we going to see continued? Can we maintain this trajectory?
Well, again, some of that might come down to the dollar and inflation. But you've got copper as well. Been making record highs. I mean, there's lots of markets that are just, everyone's so excited about just buy. But of course, coming up towards the middle of December, what are we going to see there? Next week's the last full week before sort of the breaks for Christmas, where a lot of traders will start to leave the market.
Is it
and then be back in January?
It's a debasement trade, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
It really is. I think the holdings are still huge, and I think I just can't see anything else but a continuation right now of gold. I think uncertain times will just, gold just loves it. And
It does. Again, if people want to take their money out of equities and they want to put it where they feel comfortable with it, they're quite happy in gold, especially because central banks are in there, the government's in there. There doesn't seem to be many people that are not in gold, which again gives it that extra boost.
it's interesting because gold was a pretty like it never really broke out. We can go back on the daily here and we can see kind of like that 2000 area was just a great level for gold, and it was very hard to see it rise
Yeah, it
above
was.
that 2000 level, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was always that sort of risk-off trade, wasn't it,
Yeah.
before? But that sort of got broke because you had the case where the equities and the gold were all going in the same direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, so look, I mean, it's interesting because, gold was, we see Bitcoin making these huge gains, and then you get this gold rush all of a sudden now really kind of competing with the kind of gains that, we're seeing as well. It's interesting, and I'm certainly going to remain bullish on gold. There's no doubt about it. That's
Yeah. As I say, if
WTI.
you're going to sell gold, you've got to really time it well to get away with it.
I just wouldn't have the balls to do it. I know you're you're a professional seller into the markets.
I'm just a better trader.
Yeah, and you know yourself. The timing is everything with that. You can get kind of lucky with a buy, but I think when you're selling into this kind of a market, you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
WTI again, just loves those kind of like $2 movements. Again, it's playing around that kind of 57.
It's just struggling to sort of anything that comes out that's bullish. It just can't sustain the rallies. It just keeps dropping back down again. But it's just directionless at the moment. It doesn't really know where to go, I don't think.
No, I think if it is going to go anywhere, it's going to go down. But I think there's just certain things propping it up with with wars and so on. That's the only thing that's propping it up. I mean, what else could be? There's so much oversupply. They like there's nowhere else for it to go. For I can see is other than down. Yeah, we might see some pullbacks around back up to these kind of 61, maybe even 65 potentially. I don't see it, but I'm certainly looking to sell off these levels anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to struggle to get above. Well, it does keep struggling to get sort of back up above that 60, 61 level.
Yeah.
Which again is areas where I'm interested in selling it when it does get up there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good trade. You know what I mean? It's a. I always enjoy trading WTI. I don't know why. It's always been good to me.
I like it. I like doing it as strategies as well.
It's one of my probably biggest trades that I've ever had was in WTI. But
I used to do market making for the oil exchanges.
you know a thing or two about it. So let's I guess have a quick look at just the S&P. I mean, like again, we've seen a bit of a move today. What's your thoughts around this?
Sorry, I'm trying to work out what it is.
So it's the S&P. You see that double top somewhere around.
Yeah.
6.9, and again another kind of sell off from that area.
I mean, technically, looks a good resistance level.
And fundamentally,
I'm not so sure. I don't really have a view on that at the moment.
There's so much talking about AI being overextended, and this really that seems to be the narrative at the moment for any kind of pullbacks.
I think it's a lot about just the amount that's being spent, on it. As I think we discussed before, is like I like Apple's approach. Really, let everyone else spend the 100 billion.
Mm-hmm.
We just spend $1 billion just buying it off of them.
Yeah. I think they are starting to put some money in towards it. But yeah, they're certainly got the better approach. I mean, what's the point in everybody trying to be? It's not a space race. I mean, yeah, we've got a product. Okay, we can utilize that product. Well, as much as I like it, I also hate it because like Siri is the worst piece of junk you've ever used in your life, you know, and it's still there in the iPhone 16, 17. We've still got this junky Siri that is just terrible, and that has to be bad for brand. You know, they really need to either implement. They've got ChatGPT as a backup in there, but you know, they need to do something with that. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to save face because they can't.
Yeah,
They
but I
can't.
think that's why they're spending $1 billion next year, isn't it, to get
That's
that
right.
upgraded?
Yeah, yeah. But they're probably right. At the end of the day, all the R&D is done and all the development's done. All you need to do is just, you know, really bring over all the best things that everybody else has built.
Yeah,
And drop it in.
you know, it's better to spend $1 billion if you've got the money than it is to invest 100 or 200 billion trying to create it. It almost seems a little bit of FOMO between some of the big guys.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of egos in there as well.
Yeah,
But Nvidia, we've seen a bit of a drop off in Nvidia. I seen something about China not want to take their chips. They want to be kind of independent chip maker, and they don't want to take their chips. That could hurt.
yeah, and you know, some of the other companies, some of the other tech companies are now coming up with alternatives as well. So you know, Google, Meta, and all that. So
Mhm.
again, you know, it was like when Tesla first came out with EVs, isn't it? Everybody thought, wow, it's going to go to the moon, and it's, you know, at the time it was sort of not unique, but certainly in a class of its own, which
Yeah.
Nvidia's certainly been. But
Mhm.
everyone's now starting to play catch up.
I think not only that, I think at the end of the day, people are looking for the next big thing now as well. Like, you know, there is other companies out there that are on the prefaces of making these big moves and these big gains. And I think when you see these kind of gains, it's very hard to see that kind of an extension again in that stock, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You know, again, not advice, but personally, I'd rather look at some of the new startups that are going into that
Mhm.
area,
Yeah.
and you know, maybe look at 50 companies, invest in 50 companies, and just hope that one of them is the, you know, the next one that's going to really perform. Find
Yeah.
something a little bit unique.
Yeah. And what's on your watch list at the moment? Is there anything specific on your watch list at the moment? Are you checking out any markets that are kind of
Sort of
yeah.
really, it's just been a lot of gold, a little bit of S&P. I've been watching oil, but there hasn't been that many opportunities. You know, as I say, I really want to sort of see it lift up back above 60 before I want to sell it. Otherwise, there's probably just not enough in it for me to just sell too early. And yeah, you know, I think oil. You know, I said at the beginning of this year it's going to trade $50, so I haven't quite achieved that, but I still got the same view next year that I prefer to sell the rallies than buy the dips.
Yeah, I think that, you know, once we get down to around that 54 area, you know, if we do see a break of that, there's certainly a lot of open space below that for further downside.
Yeah, and you know, I've sort of been watching Bitcoin, but I haven't really been trading that for the last couple of weeks.
It's not doing great, is it really? I mean,
No,
no,
you know, I just,
we didn't get the winter
even
rally.
though yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of outflows from the ETFs and all that, and as much as it, you know, we all love the idea, well, if there's lots of ETFs and there's lots of interest from institutions, then it's got to keep going up eventually. It's fine, yeah, but you know, you do get the outflow from the ETFs as well as the inflow, so
Yep.
it's not all just one-sided. And of course, we've seen a lot of institutions exiting over the last month or so. So whether that can actually be kept up or not, I'm just not sure. It could still go into some form of a crypto winter, although some are saying that, you know, it's really sort of just pause before you get that rally next year. But
Sorry, man.
that's right. But obviously, you're going to get that sort of sentiment from the bulls and the sort of the fanatics for crypto. Yeah, I'm a fan of it, but I'm not a fanatic for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the future. It's just how long, you know. Look, we were already seeing central banks looking to get rid of currencies. You know, like this, that's already been signed and sealed. I mean,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
the
sure the
EU is
exact
going to
date.
bring out the digital euro in 2027, I believe.
27. That's right. Yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
cashless society.
you know, it's great for the governments. They can
Of
track
course
all
it
their
is.
incomes, all their expenditure. They can tax everything at source.
Yeah, they can control your funds. They have access to stop your funds whenever they want to stop your funds.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, they exactly that. I mean, they can
Um,
freeze your accounts and all that.
I mean, we're going to see some outflows, right? There has to be outflows. I mean, people are going to be
Yeah.
running for the mountains, right, with their cash to offshore. I mean, it
Yeah.
has to
Yeah.
happen.
End up all of us trying to crowd on little islands and
Trading gold,
sounds good
bartering,
to
back to
me.
bartering, huh? Yeah, absolutely, right. And then just quickly looking at the FTSE, we've seen a bit of a dip in the FTSE. Any take on the FTSE at the minute?
Well, yeah, I was reading the other day that, you know, because we're all, well, I'm definitely focused on the US, but seeing sort of the S&P up sort of like 17% before the Fed and all that.
Yeah,
But when you look, FTSE's up even more this year than the S&P.
yeah,
And the one that's probably been the biggest gainer, or one of the biggest gainers this year, has actually been the Spanish IBEX. That's up 42% this year.
yeah, which is incredible. How have they done that? I mean, they've really got themselves out of a real bad state. I mean,
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
bringing that up?
Spain. Yeah, I think Spain's done quite well, but they've sort of encouraged a lot of immigration in, which has brought down the labour costs, I think,
Is that right?
put pressure on the domestic markets. I'm not sure that's the only thing, but that's sort of one thing that I'm a little bit familiar with. But, you know, I suppose with Europe, what you've got to think about is over the last couple of years, they've probably been undervalued a lot. So this is like playing a bit of catch up as in comparison to the US.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the people are looking for, like you say, more opportunities, and people seem to be moving their money around more than they did before, and maybe there's some value in European stocks now. You know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think that sort of became apparent towards from probably about earlier part of this year when Trump was sort of voicing that, you know, we're not going to support NATO and pay for it anymore. You
Yeah.
guys have got to do it. I think it was a good wake up call for Europe to actually start spending some money because they've kept their hand in their pocket for over a decade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it wasn't necessary. Everybody's picking up arms at the moment. It's not a great thing, but again, as a trader and as an investor, you've got to take opportunity, you know, in at every point. And if you didn't see, you know, defense stocks 6 months ago, you know, well then what did you see? Do you know, that kind of way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But Chris, I'm gonna have to run now, bud. I've got a Christmas carol service to go to. I can't wait. It's gonna be
Oh,
fun.
lovely.
And we'll catch up then early next week for another rundown, and hopefully I'll be in a better state of mind and health, and back firing on all cylinders again.
Well, I hope so. And then, yeah, we can definitely take another look at the markets because there's still some more stuff to come next
There's a
week
ton of
as well.
stuff. Absolutely, more data coming out. All right, buddy. It's always a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much, Chris.
Likewise, look after yourself
Cheers,
and
buddy.
good luck with your trading, guys.